In today's video, I am going to walk you guys through the process of encrypting your secrets when you're using the Spring Cloud config server. When you want to put some sensitive information in your config, like passwords or keys, you don't want to leave them in plain text. So this is where Spring Cloud config server encryption comes into play. So let's get straight into it and see how that's done. In my config server Spring Boot application, I have added a bootstrap.yml properties file, and I've created a new property called encrypt.key. And by creating a new environment variable called config server encrypt key, I pass the value of the encryption key via the environment. This method of providing the encryption key in the bootstrap config uses the symmetric encryption mechanism, and the same key will be used for both encryption and decryption. We can also use asymmetric encryption with Spring Cloud config server, where we can generate an RSA key pair and then use that for our encryption. But for the purposes of this video, I will only discuss the symmetric encryption. Once my encryption key is added to the bootstrap config, I will start my config server. And I can actually use the REST endpoint to encrypt or decrypt values, which I will show you now. So I'm using the Thunder REST client that's built into VS Code, but it doesn't matter. You can use any REST client that you want. And once your config server is up and running, you can just make a call to the encrypt endpoint. And for me, my config server is running on port 8888. So I'm making a call to localhost port 8888, and it's a post request. In the body of the request, you will need to specify the value that you want to encrypt. So as an example, if I just say password over here and send a request, it'll actually encrypt it and return me a response. And I should be able to copy this value and put it back into my configuration. Let's just copy this value for now. And let's send a request back to the decrypt endpoint. And let me put the encrypted value over here. And you will see here that it actually decrypts it back to the plain text. So we've seen how we can encrypt and decrypt values using the encrypt and decrypt endpoints on the config server. I can now copy this value and put it back in my configuration. So if I go back into my config, let's say I want to open my application.yml, I can provide the password, and what I need to do is put the password in quotes, in single quotes, and add a string which begins with a curly brace and then cipher and ends with a curly brace. And then from there, I can specify the encrypted value. So if I specify this is automatically going to get decrypted as password and then used accordingly. So we have seen here how we can encrypt and decrypt the values at rest with the use of symmetric encryption in Spring Cloud config server. That's all that I wanted to share for this video, and I hope you find this video useful, and thanks a lot for watching.